Honorable Dr. Patil, Dr. Pratibha, Dr. Kapoor, and all the principals and participants for this session. So it's really great pleasure to be here amongst the Shikshan family. And let me tell you, Madam has read the biodata, but I feel I am a person just like you, but just standing here in front of you to share some of my ideas, which I have implemented in RIT. Of course, it is a teamwork. I could do it because, as I said, being teamwork, it's my board of governance, it's my faculty colleagues, it's my non-teaching staff, it's everyone in the team which helps you implement your ideas. And I think each one of us have this potential to do something in life which you dream of. So I think I've been pursuing that dream, and that is the dream of Rajaram Babu Patil. And to some extent, maybe I feel I could reach somewhere and I could, transfer the benefit to Rajaram Babu Institute of Technology. So I am here today to share on autonomous college. So as you know, RIT has become autonomous in 2011. That was our first batch. For first 6 years we got autonomy. Recently we had a committee to review the autonomy status because we have to renew it after 6 years. So it's a continuous process. But then basically, what is autonomy or autonomous college? Autonomy we have been all affiliated colleges sometime or the other, and the concept of affiliated colleges is, in earlier times we had university system, and as and when new colleges were started, all those colleges got affiliated to university, and that's how today we have universities with 400 or 500 affiliated colleges. And the limitations of university affiliated colleges now all of us are facing. There are lots of limitations because whatever curriculum gets developed, it is all for common for all 200, 300 colleges, and there is no scope to give for whatever specific local or community connect is required. According to that needs, the thought process doesn't get developed. So with those limitations, various committees have suggested for autonomous colleges. So all of us know that the policies of LPG, which was called as LPG, liberalization, privatization and globalization. And lot of multinationals and lot of financial transactions started all over the world. And with that, education system, whatever our graduating engineers, I say in particular because I lead engineering college, but any graduate who is passing out has to be placeable, has to be employable, right? The employability of students is a basic problem, so the question of survival and providing quality education is on priority for all institutes. We all talk of quality of education. But what is that quality of education we think of? What's the thought process that I teach whatever is there in the curriculum, the students, whether they are learning or not, we don't see, we just teach. I am teaching. But do we think, are they learning? Is that thought process in our mind when we are in the classroom? Because though we talk of active learning methods, we talk of different methods to be used in the classroom, participatory method or problem-based teaching method or case study-based teaching method. So all those methods we talk of, but then how many of the teachers are really implementing, and we make sure that the students are learning. That's a big challenge in our classroom. So the fact is, all the reports like NASSCOM says that only 20% of our students are employable. I think all of us will agree with it. At the end of a degree, a student doesn't have a goal in mind. That's what I need to do. And after that, especially of engineering, when I talk of engineering students, they say, once let me complete my engineering, then I will spend 1 year for preparing for something. So the 5th year is already added, right? So we have to think of this. Maybe in your arts, commerce also, when the students graduate out, do they have a picture in their mind? Do they have a goal in their mind, what they are supposed to do? As I said, we are teaching as per curriculum. Assessment is done, which is again a mass assessment. That assessment is done in university. Okay. Paper setter is someone else. The person who sets the curriculum is a different person. Paper setter is second person. Paper evaluator is a third person. Right? So there is a mismatch also of the expectations from the students. We all expect that a single question paper will be sufficient for all 300 colleges. We all feel that anyone who will assess the paper will have the same expectations from the student. So all these are inbuilt assumptions. As I said, university affiliated system was basically for one university which had its own campus. But then we went on adding colleges to that university irrespective of the location, and that's how the burden increased and the generalization of education started. So absence of autonomy is found to have created almost a complete lack of competitive environment in institutions and lack of innovations in academic leadership. Why there is lack of innovation in academic leadership? Because that leadership doesn't have the freedom to set the curriculum. The leadership is only, this is the curriculum given, tailor-made, do this in the classroom. Question paper is not in your hand. So you exactly don't know what is expected from students. This is from teachers' end. And when we talk about students' end, do the students know what is expected from them? Have you ever thought, are the students thinking that what I will be learning at the end of this particular course, what is expected from me in the examination, why I am here for 3 years to take that graduation program? Because everything has now become a framework. Okay, I will be taking admission. This is the curriculum. I will pass out in 3 years. So, autonomy will give you that strength to be innovative in doing all this education process. If you think, give a thought to yourself. Being in education for so many years, what exactly are we doing to our students? Are we doing justice to our students? Those who come to us with high expectations. In the first year only, when they are with high expectations, we have teachers, we have senior students who tell them, "Arey, gappa bas, this is for a short while, he assess करायचं असतं, पाठांतरच करायचं असतं, or you have to follow a particular guide to pass in the exam." So that's how the initial enthusiasm of the student is killed. Are we encouraging them to take up projects? Are we encouraging them to move to society, understand the needs of society? Are we doing that survey right from first year? Are we giving a flame to their creativity? So I think autonomy is a tool which will help you to do that. Now, current status of education. There is a gap between expectations of the engineering graduates and the employability. As I said, in spite of education being the topmost priority of any government, still what is happening? Quantitative, yes, we have large number of graduates in the market. Right? We have some 700 universities, some 30,000 colleges, huge number is there. Literacy rate is growing up, more than 75%, 80% somewhere the literacy rate is very high. But what is happening to the employability? The employability is a big question because there is a gap. What is it? The university syllabus, there is no link to industry application. University syllabus is theoretical. We all teach theory more. We are not connecting them, like maybe what comes to my mind is now the huge groups like Fortune Group or the Big Bazaar one. or the Shoppers Stop or DMart, all these groups are in the market, so they have the potential of employment. But are we preparing our graduates to fit into these big groups, retail groups? Are we preparing our students for that? And if I have to prepare my students for such huge retail groups, what is there in my curriculum? Am I teaching them Tally? Am I teaching them Microsoft skills? Are they able to prepare Excel sheets and handle the data? Because data handling is the biggest task today. Big data analytics, we all say. So all this consumer-driven market is based on big data analytics.